What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Maverick Journey, where we interview with brilliant people on learning the start and the build into their careers to help us in our start and our build in our careers. I'm sitting here with Josh. Josh, please introduce yourself.
Well, Simcha, it's nice to be here. I've never done one of these like this. I've been interviewed before, but I'll do my best today.
It's going to be great.
So, my name is Josh Moorvitch. I live here in Los Angeles, California. What I do for a living is I'm a mortgage broker. I have a company called JDM Funding Corporation. We just celebrated our 17th year anniversary a couple of weeks ago. And really what we do, and we do well, is we provide financing for people in the real estate market, both in the residential space and the commercial space. So in the residential space would be houses, duplexes, triplexes, and fourplexes. And in the commercial space, you're talking about shopping centers, retail centers, apartment buildings, mixed use projects, non-for-profit work, owner user, land, construction, and everything that goes in between that has to do with collateral. What I specifically focus on is very complex transactions. So I can do all the easy ones. Somebody needs to buy a home and they need a loan to get into the house. Wonderful. We'll do that. Somebody needs to refinance. Maybe somebody needs a home equity line of credit where they can get some cash out on the back of their house. We do that as well. But primarily what comes to my office is, hey, we've got this scenario. Nobody can figure it out. The banks are saying no. What do we do? And the success that I've had has been really about what I would call reverse engineer financing. That means concept-wise, we always have to set a goal. No matter what we do, we have to set a goal. And from that goal, we like to work backwards on what's the map to get there. So if you think of your kids, or when we were kids, we used to do those mazes that had a start and a finish. And the guys that were really good used to go from the finish and they would go back to the start, as opposed from the start to the finish and right? And that's really what I do with financing. So we need to know what we're trying to accomplish, help our clients set a proper goal, understand, filter their thoughts, focus them, structure them, and then give us the information that they have. And then my job and our team's job is to figure out how to get them the resources and the money that they need to complete that project. And that's pretty much what I do. In general, I would say JDM Funding arranges about $150 to $200 million a year of financing.
That's incredible.
That's in Thank you. That's in Southern California. That's in all over the country. We work on small deals for a couple $100,000. We work on large deals for 30, 40 million, doesn't matter. I think what really makes me tick and why I love what I do is I like to see end results. I like to see things happen. Yes, we make money and we're good at it and it's wonderful, but I still get a high on every deal that I pick up and I look at, and where everybody says, this is not doable, or Josh, I'm stuck, and, rolling up our sleeves, figuring it out, getting it closed. To me, that's a high. I love it. I'm passionate about it. I'm still doing it. I think I've done probably over 1,500 deals over the last 20 years and a little bit over 20 years. And I still get up every morning and I'm ready to roll.
I can see the passion just in your eyes as you're explaining it. That's awesome. That's absolutely incredible. And we're going to get into it a bit more a little later. I would love to hear, Josh, a little bit about your educational background, growing up, where you were, the schools, kind of the education system that you walked through at that stage of life.
So I don't want to start too early, but I thought it's important to know that my family, we're Balchuvas through Chabad. We started off in Torrance in South Bay, which is here in between, I would say, LA and Long Beach. We became religious through Rabbi Hecht in Torrance. We did some schooling there. We went to the Hebrew Academy of the OC. Eventually, my parents were driving way too much, 25 miles each way to get us to school. We moved to the Pico Robertson in '87. My brothers and I and my sister, we ended up going to Torres Emas to start with. And then eventually I ended up at the Chabad High School, YOEC here in Los Angeles. I did graduate a little bit early at the age of 16.
Good for you.
Oh, man. Save my parents some money. That was great. A little less tuition.
That's awesome.
I took a year off and I went to Israel and I learned at the Yeshiva of Kiryat Gat, which is a story of its own. When I left, I think it was probably about 1998. I was 17, going 18. I started at Santa Monica College. My goal was to go into business. I don't know exactly where, but at least to start getting my prerequisites. And there was a lot of classes I had to redo from yeshiva, from math classes to English classes, which I actually was not discouraged about. I thought that was great because even with all the learning that we do, you need to brush up on your skills. And there is a whole nother set of skills. And if you're trying to build a foundation that's really solid to go into the next levels, regardless of where somebody went to high school, it doesn't matter. You're going to take your assessment tests anyways, but important to start getting really well-rounded in your mathematics and English classes. And of course, everything else that goes with it.
It's an amazing lesson not to be discouraged, even if your education wasn't the greatest for whichever reason, if it came from the school side or from your own side, to be able to go back and revisit it, even if it's years later. That's awesome.
I mean, I have 7 kids, thank God. And I sat on the boards of schools and I have helped many schools and still do. I'm passionate about education and I'm passionate about kids' Judaism and education. And nobody becomes a doctor or a lawyer or an entrepreneur that started a whole business just because they went to one school or another school. To me, passion is what we instill Judaism in our kids because they can go through any system. They can go through Chabad system, non-Chabad system, modern, or it doesn't matter. Yes, there will be some that have better resources or campuses than others, but at the end of the day, for me, in my personal belief, it's the Judaism that we instill in our kids. You said you see the passion in my face about business. I have the same passion about my kids that they should come home and be excited about the Parsha and Judaism and being a Jew. And I think everything else can be learned, meaning whatever education we got in high school doesn't matter. You could get to a community college, you could take the class over or take another class or just brush up on your skill set. It'll take you a couple months, no big deal, 3 or 4 months on a 120-year lifespan or at least a 40 to 50-year career span, doesn't matter.
Exactly.
And at the same time, our Judaism and having that instilled inside is great. So for me, SMC.
That's great.
I took my SATs a couple of times. They didn't go as great as I wanted. That doesn't matter. I stayed the course. I got accepted to USC, UCLA, CSUN, which are 3 different colleges here in Southern California. And my goal was to continue in business. And then I actually was supposed to go to UCLA. I'm admitting this in public, but I thought I was going to be a Bruin. This is the truth. But I had to take a Calculus 2 class in the summertime after I already got accepted. And anybody taking Calculus 2, God bless you. Anybody taking Calculus 2 in 4 or 5 week summer semester, that's pretty close to suicide. And I got a D. And we tried to negotiate with the instructor to just give me an incomplete. He said, "No, you got a D. You're getting a D." Well, the repercussion was UCLA sent me another letter back saying we were withdrawing your acceptance until you can go back and take that class and get a passing grade, which I did. I went back. I took it in the fall semester. I got an A, or not fall, whatever. Yeah, it's fall. And they said, "Welcome back." And I said, "No, thank you." At that time, because I'd taken that Calculus 2 class, USC put me in a very select category of 50 students out of 1,000 that allowed me to go directly into the Marshall School of Business, still undergraduate. And I was always passionate. I am passionate about networking and meeting people. And I was working the entire time as well. So the USC path was actually worked out great, from networking, from schedule wise to overall just the relationships. And it took me a while to get my last 2 years done at USC. It almost 4 years. So it took me 6 years and change to get a 4-year degree.
Wow.
And I graduated out of USC with a emphasis in business administration and a focus in entrepreneurial studies. And that's my degree. It's called a BS in business administration. And I actually took the #1 business plan out of USC in the entrepreneurial department, which was a pretty big deal when I got it. The next year, they gave everybody $25,000 as an award. I got just a plaque, but it's still very prominent. And
Okay,
that's
for
my
sure.
education from college.
So that's great. So you mentioned that during that start at SMC, if I'm not mistaken, you actually started working during that time,
Correct.
correct? So what was that job that you got as you were in college?
So I just would start with, I'm an entrepreneur. I was always busy. I was always selling, whether I was selling the Hashanahs on the last day of Hoshana Rabbah, going from shul to shul, clipping and selling, to selling candy out of a box in my locker in schools, to maybe things I shouldn't put on video here. But I was always busy working the summers, working the angles, working for people. Very passionate about earning. When I got out of college, when I got out of Israel, my passion was healthcare. I really wanted to be in healthcare. As a kid, I grew up thinking I was going to be a doctor, maybe a pediatrician. And one day I was daydreaming in Rabbi Shanowitz's class, for those who know, in YOEC. And I said, why would I want to be the doctor? The guy who pays the doctor has to have more money than the doctor. So maybe I should be in the management of these doctors. And my passion was public administration, to go into public health. And when I came back, my angle was, okay, I'm going to go work in the nursing home business, the assisted living business, and maybe that's my place to be. They seem to all be making a ton of money. What do I have to reinvent the system? Let's go copy that path. But I couldn't break in. I didn't know anybody in the space. At the same time, I was very involved in the stock market and in investing and playing. And there was one IPO that was going out in the late 90s that did fail. But
sorry to hear.
It's okay. It's okay. There's a lot of learning experiences that come from these. But the gentleman who was putting the IPO together said, one of our big investors actually owns a bunch of assisted living. So maybe I can make the introduction for you to go work with him. I said, that'd be fantastic. So I started there. I got a job. I think my first job was $2,000 a month. Wow. And my job was to come to this assisted living in a very tough place in LA called MacArthur Park. For those who know it, great. If not, watch all the mayoral campaigns right now. They do it right from that park.
That's right.
And my job was to figure out how to do marketing and sales and bring more clients and patients into this facility that was 50% vacant. And I had to find my own way. And I got what's called an RCFE license, which is a license for administrating retirement homes or assisted livings. Didn't really need it as much, but I got it because that's important. And
was that a course that you took online?
I think if I remember back then, it was a book and then a test in person in a city or a state facility.
Understood. So
but it was important. So I took that, and I was doing great. But I also got to learn the business, and I wasn't very proud of some of the stuff that goes on in that business, but I was very successful at it. And I moved to another company, and then
just before you jump, Josh, can you give me just a little bit of how you were able to navigate getting those new clients? You saying that you were good at it, and I trust you 100%. I know you. And I'm just curious, like, what was those first deals like for you back then? You know, you're in college at this point, and you're also working, and you're trying to make these deals happen. What did that look like, especially for the first job that you really had?
So if you want to make money, you have to be good in sales. We'll start with that.
Totally. I've been hearing that a lot lately.
The marketing line in a company's profit and loss statement is always the largest line because it's the marketing, it's the sales, it's the advertisement. Everything that takes place happens around clients. If you have no clients or no customers, you can have everything that's amazing, but it's not going to work. I had to find a way, first of all, to create a niche. Niche meaning something that we would do better or that doesn't exist for our facility that could be catchy, that would bring in other people. So our facilities service to cater to people that were low income, that were really living off of Social Security, had Medicare, Medi-Cal, probably no family, nothing to their name, maybe dealing with alcohol addiction or drug addiction. So the first thing we did is I came up with a flyer that said, we work specifically with drug addiction and alcohol addiction, and to try to provide more services towards those people, which is pretty much 95% of Los Angeles, downtown Los Angeles.
Yes.
It's 2026 and nothing has changed.
Correct.
Downtown LA. So there was an unbelievable amount of these people, but the question is, how do you get those people into your door? Because once they're in the door, we get a room for them, 3 square meals a day. They get their medications. They're happy. I would say 50% of the clientele at MacArthur Park was our guys anyways. So it was really, how do you get them? So I started to network with the hospitals and the nursing homes around my facility. Old school. Took the old phone book that had a list of every nursing home, every hospital, every rehab center, and started dialing for dollars. Hey, I'm Josh Moorvitch. I'm from Grandview. I would like to come and meet you and like to share with you all about what I'm helping clients with. The majority of the people on the other side of the phone were these social workers, caseworkers. These people, they work hard. They have really no acknowledgement to what they do. And all they're doing is moving people, all trying to make sure that they deal with families, get the people situated, and then move them to the next place so they can turn their beds as well. I was probably one of the biggest customers on La Cienega at this place called Yum Yum Donuts. Every meeting, I showed up with a 12-pack of the most glazed sugar donuts you can imagine. And when I walked in, and I would say, let's say, for example, the caseworker's name was Simcha, I'd be like, come in for Simcha. How are you? I brought these donuts to lighten up your day. And for the next 30 minutes that we would meet, for 25 minutes, all I did was talk about Simcha. So how are you? How's your day? Man, you're in a tough place. Nobody acknowledges what you do. I appreciate you. I know these people have no family. They appreciate you. And I would use their name over and over again through the process. So by the end of this 25 or 30 minutes, maybe we talked about our program for 5 minutes, but 25 minutes about this person. So coming out of the meeting, when Josh calls again and says, hey, Simcha, how you doing? Oh, Josh is the best. It made me feel like $1 million. All she did was talk about herself the whole time. And who doesn't like to talk about themselves, right? We're doing this podcast. There's a little bit of a little ego, of course. I got it. But, right? So this person now is in a happy place. They got donuts that they can share with their staff. So they're now like a player in their office. How did you get that? Their little locker rooms or their little staff room has now got donuts, has some flyers, has some business cards from Josh. And now I stay in touch, right? Most people in marketing they fall off on the follow-up.
But
I
you
would say
cold called as soon as you got in the door, you got them to remember you.
that's it. And I would
That's
say today, I'm taking a tangent. I heard this at one of my business classes at USC, but this is really real. And I think it's important to your audience is follow-up. Most people make the introduction. They have a great introduction. People today are really, really, really busy. So to finally lock them down to get their attention takes time. And people usually don't want to bother somebody or they whatever. And everybody's lives has a million things going on. With technology today, we're a whole lot faster than we were, 20 plus years ago. So I would really push for people that when you're doing or selling or whatever you're doing, there should be this follow-up that, hey, I'm going to check in with you. It doesn't necessarily mean, are you buying this tomorrow? It means, hey, how was your weekend? I just want to let you know I'm doing great. I actually was able to get 3 new clients in my facility, and I'm very excited about the progress that I'm making. I'm here for you. Anything you need, have a great day. 30-second phone call, 30-second voicemail, follow up every few weeks, check in. When people see that somebody is serious about their follow-up and their passion at what they're doing, it may not be the first client. It may not be the second. Maybe it's the third or fourth referral where the other person didn't pick up the phone where they normally send to. And they say, wait, Josh, he's always checking in. Let's give Josh a try, right? And now it's time to perform. So you perform, and then you have to follow up, right? In my office, in 20 plus years, every client gets a gift after the closing from my office. They get a nice Crate and Barrel gift. There's a follow-up from my staff. There's a gift that goes out to the referral source. That people want to feel appreciated for what they did. So I would say the success came from this grassroots marketing and sales. None of this text message stuff. It's really about building the rapport with people, talking to them. So that led to my success in that space. I was doing well. The owner of that property gave me a second property to work on in Whittier. So I was working in Whittier. Then I got poached. That somebody said, come work for me.
Ooh.
And I could give you A, B, and C versus what you're doing at A and B. And everybody likes to be poached. It's so good for the ego. I'm going to give you 2 great lines.
Let me hear them.
From my wife, Yafa. And it comes into Shar B'Tachan and other stuff later. But let me give the lines, okay? There's a phrase that they say, the grass is greener. So the line is, if the grass is greener on the other side, water your own lawn. Number 1. And perhaps if the grass is greener on the other side, maybe it's fake grass. So,
wow.
When we look at another opportunity that comes our way, and it's a couple extra shekel, which are very important, right? We need that extra few dollars at the moment. But what are we giving up at the moment to move to that second stage or that second location or a environment that you don't know? It's not always about money. It's about culture. It's about ownership. It's about reputation. What are you doing to yourself for moving from point A to point B? What are the ramifications of that? Sometimes it's not only the bank account. You have to look at the big picture. And that I did not do. I was courted. I thought I was excited. I was offered a few dollars more. And it turned out to be a very bad match. And after a couple of months or 6 months or a year, I don't remember the time frame, it was time for me to move on. And then I didn't know what I was going to do. So what am I going to do now? Meanwhile, I'm at USC. I'm studying all day in the morning. I work all day. I go to school back at night. I'm newly married. I got married at 20 years old.
Wow.
And I've got, to take care of my wife and newly married. That's a big pressure of its own.
I just want to get the timeline clear. So you were at the first job, which was for the nursing homes, when you got married, or was it during this second job that someone poached you from?
I skipped one job where I think it's important to state that when I was at Santa Monica College, my first, I think, job where I got like 3 hours a day for 2 days a week was working for an investment firm. It was called Sutro and Company up in Woodland Hills. I was just trying to learn whatever I can about the stock market, being I was involved in trading and meeting people. And I would drive an hour each way, go there for 3 hours, and just cold call on like trying to sell mutual funds or create leads for the brokers I was working with, and come home. And I was literally driving, I would say 4 to 5 hours a week just to work for 5 hours. And I was getting $10 an hour, I think $9 an hour, or $10 on the books. It wasn't much money, but it was the experience. And that was key in continuing that knowledge of the marketplace. I believe that was in 1999, if I were to put a date on it, I think, or somewhere in that 98, 99. I think at that time also is when I transitioned into the assisted living business. As soon as I got that opportunity, I think they cut my hours from like 6 hours to like 4 hours. I was like, I can't drive to Woodland Hills. And I was falling asleep on the freeway trying to come back. My car didn't have air conditioning. My car didn't have heat. I got nothing. So we leave these windows open in traffic,
Wow.
and the fumes would come in, and I'd be dozing off. It was dangerous. I said I couldn't do this anymore. And then I transitioned into the assisted living business. I think Hashgacha Pratis, that's where I got that introduction. So I would say from 1999, I would say until about 2001 to 2002, I was in these assisted living spaces.
Mm-hmm.
And then after I lost my job in 2002, I got married in 2001, by the way. So that we'll put that a date there.
During that time of the assisted living homes is when you got married.
I got married.
And now you're juggling first job, new wife, still in college.
Correct.
That's pretty incredible.
It's a crazy, like, little inside, but my first day of the new job transition from assisted living company 1 to assisted living company 2 was actually September 11th, 2001. And September 10th, 2001, the night before, I was actually in New York, supposed to fly back and be there in the morning for my first job. But
fly from where to where?
From JFK to be back in LAX. And we had made one of those Priceline tickets, so you have no idea where you're going to go through. And there's a connection. So I was supposed to be JFK to like Ohio to LAX, and there was a severe thunderstorm on that evening of the 10th. So we stayed on the runway for 4 or 5 hours. I had missed my connection flight, and my wife, they gave us an opportunity to stay in New York or continue the journey, even though you missed your connection, and they would take care of it. I said, I got to get to this job. I'm starting tomorrow. And Hashem had different plans than what I had. So we ended up in like Cleveland at 2 or 3 in the morning. We missed our connection flight. And I ended up on a plane on September 11th from, I think it's Cleveland. It could have been Missouri, one of these places. And in middle of the air, when the attacks happened, we were flying over Wichita, Kansas, and our plane was put down in Wichita, Kansas for 6 days. So here I'm running to start my job on September 11th,
right.
And I had a whole other set of plans, and we barely made it home for Rosh Hashanah, which was a whole other story. But
wow.
That was the timeline of September 11th of 2001. We were just married a couple months. And then I think 2002, that's when I was leaving assisted living 2 business, and I didn't know what I was going to do next.
Okay. So let's just have it clear. So we're going from job number 1, which was, as you went back and mentioned, remind me.
It was being a marketing and a assistant administrator for assisted living facilities.
And then you went from job number 2, which was poached which you were poached and
Same,
you
the same
same role,
job,
different company.
different company,
Got it.
different almost the same responsibilities, but it was within the same line of work.
Understood. Got it. I mean, it goes to show that you build up a skill set. People start to notice, when you work hard and you start to excel, people notice and they want those skills at their companies.
Correct.
So you're there for about 6 months.
Maybe 6 months to a year. It could
Left.
be longer. I don't remember. And had fallen out with management. And
Which happens.
it happens. Everything is hashgacha pratis, but in the time when you're married and had all the things going on, it was a very difficult time. And I didn't know what I was going to do, but I was a master networker with all the assisted livings, the nursing homes, the hospitals. And also in our facilities, we get doctors that come in all the time to service the patients. So one of the doctors who had a business of, he did mobile podiatry, which meant they would take a doctor who's a podiatrist and they would bring all their gear and they would come into the facility and set up in a room and provide podiatry services for all the patients in the facility. Gold mine for the doctor because now they have 200 people in one shot and they can crush it and do well. Gold mine for the facility because they don't have to worry about putting people in cars, transportations, liability. Not everybody is mobile. It's a real logistics, and you have to have staff with these people. It's very heavy. So the mobile services in nursing homes and assisted livings is actually a very large business. And we had mobile dentistry. There's a dentistry, there was a chiropractic, there was a podiatry. These doctors, there are 4 or 5 of them, these Persian doctors, they came over to me and they heard I was looking for an opportunity. And they said, well, this guy knows all the facilities. He could probably get our services in all the facilities and we should hire this guy. And at the same time, they said, well, we just started a new business called mobile dentistry. And I said, what is that? They said, oh yeah, we take these big motor homes and we're putting the dental offices inside and we're going to send those to the facilities. That's going to be you're going to be the operating partner for that. I said, I know nothing about dentistry. They said, but you will. And in the meantime, your job is just to go start lining up contracts so we can pull up these vehicles to the facilities and start seeing people. And I said, that I can do. So in the beginning phase, just to show if we could take a step from that for a moment, whatever business people are doing and whatever you're going to do, a lot of times people come up with an idea and they just, oh yeah, I'm in business tomorrow for whatever the idea they decided, but they haven't taken the time to do some research. It's what we call feasibility analysis, to take the time, test the idea against others, see what's the product, see who the customer is, who's the management, how much cash it's going to take to start the business, break even numbers, putting a little bit of thought into starting an actual business. And these guys had spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to set up a mobile dentistry truck that was not going to be operable for any old people. It didn't have a wheelchair lift. It wasn't wide enough. It didn't have a lot of components that were just the basics, the ABCs of execution, of being able to accommodate your staff and accommodate the patients coming in, all that. So when I came into this business, I didn't even know the business, but I was looking at their model and I'm like, guys, how are we going to get this person that can't get up the stairs, up 4 flights of stairs into an RV, get them up, spin them in, and move them into a dental chair inside the back of the coach? So my first part of joining their team was to just ergonomically, I guess might be the right word, or whatever it was, is to get the product to work. for the patients that were set to come in. In addition, there were a lot of things that, go ahead.
Was this while you were at the assisted living home, or when these guys approached you, was it like fully come to us? Are you like fully invested in this business, which would eventually go absolutely nowhere?
So I was now in transition. I didn't have a job.
Got it.
I was tutoring on the side. I was hustling on the side. 5, 6 things. I was still trying to bring patients to people if I could, because my networking and connections. But it was
Got
like the transition period.
Got it. And
that
during
was-
that time, you had this little insight of this startup, which I think is fantastic.
It wasn't my insight. It wasn't my idea. It was their idea, these doctors. But it was my job was to be the operational guy, where these guys were like mobile dentistry, mobile chiropractor, mobile podiatry. They had a billing company. They already had an established company. They just didn't have anybody to execute on this. So
Got
it's
it.
my job to take this business, make it work, and
Make it work.
make it work. And that's what I had to do. Like, for example, I would go to USC in the morning at 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock. And then I would park on, those who know Los Angeles, Jefferson and Vermont, or near Figueroa. Not a place you really want to park back then. In fact, there were times that my hubcaps were missing from my car when I would come
Oh my
out.
goodness.
But I would park in the morning, 7 to 9, go to my business classes, and then I would come out. And there was a bus stop right next to where I parked. It was a Dash bus. For those who know, LA has a Dash bus, a blue bus. I needed a driver for my big Winnebago. I walked into his bus one morning. I said, "What do you make?" "Yeah, great. I'm going to give you XYZ. You work for me now. You could drive a bus. You could drive a coach." "I'm in." "Great."
That's fantastic.
Hire my bus driver. Now I've got somebody that can move this big RV from place to place. Dental assistants. I used to meet people in the alley as they would walk in and out of their dental practices. "What do you make?" "Yeah, great. You now work for me. I'm going to pay you this. You're going to now do mobile dentistry. So that means you're going to meet the car at this location. You're going to get on board. And now you're going to ride with this guy, Gary, and we're going to facilities. Your job is to do exactly what you do, but you're doing it on the road." "Great." Dentist. "How do I get a dentist?" Well, we would find these different dentists that either were starting up or coming out of college. "Great. You're going to come work for me on Mondays and Wednesdays. You'll meet the coach either at the facility or get on the bus. We'll go there." And that's what we did. I would say at that point in time, I was driving 3,000 miles a month.
Wow.
So I would go to school and I would drive. We were doing all Southern California, from Corona all the way up to Simi Valley. Every facility, meet the people at the site, get the people, go into the facilities, bring in the patients, work with the staff, work with my people, deal with all the things that can go wrong on a road, right? Because you're not in your office, you're on the road, things go down, generators, and it was quite an experience. And I thought I was going to be the king of mobile dentistry in this country. Nobody was going to touch me. And we were seeing at one point, I would say, I want to say somewhere between 1,000 and 2,000 patients a month.
Wow.
We were cranking. And what led to the next transition was our patients were paying based off what we call Medi-Cal or Medicare, and that those funds dried up in the state of California. The state went bankrupt. Our product was one of the first products to get hit, and it hurt our cash flow. It hurt our collections. And somewhere in 2004, I would say 2004, our entire company came to an end.
Wow.
But I had changed this company. We went from one truck to multiple trucks. I had minivans that would have dental offices inside so they can send the minivan Back then, gas was $1.50 a gallon. It went to $1.80. It was very expensive. It was
Right.
crazy. There's a long story to it.
Wow. So this, I mean, it's just great. Just goes to show that you have when you're starting up, it's just one problem at a time that you have to go and solve, and you put yourself in the spaces that resolve that issue. Like if you needed a bus driver, you walk on the bus. Maybe that's one way, and if that doesn't work, you find where the bus drivers go. Like you put yourself in those situations, which I think is just shows, and also for yourself, you get to now sit down and say, how do we execute from here to here? Or like you said in the beginning, going backwards, how do we get, for there to just be a truck with a dentist inside at someone's door, just taking those steps one step at a time, putting yourself out there. I think it's absolutely incredible. And I think it also, we're coming to a great point, which during all of this, so now you're a couple of years into married. Can I assume that you had maybe a kid or two by then?
So I waited 3 years until we had our first daughter. Her name is Michal. She's now 22, but she was born in January 2004. I got married in June of 2001. So
And this
just before I graduated USC, she was born.
Wow. Okay. So yeah. So with the kids, having to start a business, building it, profiting off of it, and then it going under. So now you're almost in this stranded situation, but you have these skills that you've picked up. So how did you go from that to where you are now?
So I go back to one of the things that I'm sharing with you today, and maybe it's important that I emphasize relationships, networking, skills, and keep moving. Meaning, yeah, no bus driver, get on a bus and go get a bus driver. But I think number one is people need to build relationships. They need to know the people in their community. They need to know the people around them. They need to know the business professionals around them. And people have to constantly, in my opinion, introduce themselves of what they're doing and what they're looking for and what's their passion. Because through that, people will think of you and what that may be when opportunities arise. People won't know you for the opportunity unless it's ingrained in them that, hey, Josh is the mobile dentistry guy. Oh, dentistry? It may have nothing to do with me, but if you thought dentistry, you for sure thought Josh. In that time, everybody in Southern California knew I was dentistry guy. Now, when I was at USC, I made it my business to get to know my professors. So I would take them out for a nice rib lunch at La Gondola. Yes, they're not Jewish. I'm Jewish. I walk around with a yarmulke, very passionate about that. But I made it my business to see who can introduce me to who. Didn't make a difference. So I had a great little, like a Rolodex, if you want to call it that. And I would just ask, okay, my professor, his name was Bill. Bill, I'm in this space. I don't know where it's going on in this space. Where's the next? Who can introduce me? Well, healthcare, Josh. I want you to meet this guy named Amos. Amos, he's a trustee to USC Business Board. He actually works in creating spas and massage therapists and that business at hotels and other locations. Medical, whatever. Get to know each other. Great. Amos, I'm Josh Moorvitch. I'm probably the only Orthodox Jew in USC Marshall School of Business. I would love to take you out for lunch. Hit it out for lunch. It was great. Ended up having him over for a Friday night dinner. And when I lost when the whole mobile dentistry thing started to fall apart, I needed to earn. So I reached out to him. Everybody happened to be Amos, this Israeli guy. And I said, Amos, anything in your network that you can introduce me to? He said, you know what? I know a guy in Malibu. And this guy in Malibu, his name is George. And he takes companies public through like what we call reverse mergers. It's a conversation of its own. But they're also launching this company where they're trying to buy nursing homes and assisted livings all around the country. Maybe your background, I can introduce you. Great. I'm in. I get to this meeting. I meet this guy named George. I meet this guy, Rowan. And the more we talk, first of all, I had just won the #1 USC business plan in mobile dentistry at
Wow.
USC. And at the same time, they knew I had the assisted living and other background. They said, look, we need an ops guy, an operations guy who, when we're going to buy a property, maybe you can go fly there, check it out, give us information, and work with the teams. Hey, does it pay? Yes. How much? I'm going to give you $5,500 a month. Great. Jackpot. I'm in. So I've got some income coming in. It's a different story that the checks didn't go through for the first couple of months.
These things just happen. Unbelievable.
It happens. This is all Hashem's journey. But through this process, I started getting involved on one side of the business, but then I really always liked the investment banking side, the stocks, right? I got involved on that side too. And the next thing my position changed. I was no longer the ops guy for this company that was doing purchasing and mergers and acquisitions of nursing homes. I was now a liaison to startup companies that wanted to go public through this guy, George, and helping them write their business plans, helping them organize their companies so that he can then take them to the market and go get them the money that they needed. Now, I thought, bang, now I'm good. I'm in the stocks again, money, it's all going to be great. But what I didn't know was the guy that I was working for was not so kosher. And with everything that was going on, there was a whole nother level of stress that I wasn't even aware of until I started to work there, that the business was not the business I was looking for. I was worried about people's money. I was worried about introducing people. I mean, I go today and I say it with pride. I raised over $3 million from family and friends for IPOs, and everybody lost their money over the years. Yep. And it was very challenging. And it comes with a lot of other stresses to it. But in that business, I met another guy. And who was this other guy? I met this guy named James. And James was a mortgage broker here in Beverly Hills. And there used to be a restaurant on Pico called Pico Kosher Deli, Ova Shalom. And best deli sandwiches. I happened to be in line for a sandwich. And this guy, he's behind me. He's a black gentleman with a suit, has a nice bow tie, has some nice cufflinks on his, and I start to exchange information. Hey, I'm Josh. Here's my Josh Moorvitch. Here's my card. Oh, I'm James. Here's my card. What do you do? Well, I'm in mergers and acquisitions and investment banking. Oh, I'm a mortgage broker. Oh, that's nice. Well, if there's any deals that come your way that are in the mortgage business, please send them to me. And if I have anything else, I'll send them to you. Great. Switch of cards. Now, in my business, whenever you're dealing with people's money, you meet other people in money. So people will naturally say, I want to put $250,000 in your deal, but I can't get it. It's in my house. Oh, call James. James will get you a home equity line of credit or whatever you need. Now you got your $250. Now you can invest. So there was just this relationship that was going on that I didn't even realize how profitable it was for him. But for me, I was just providing solutions to my client. And fast forward, and I was 21 years old, maybe 22, and I had a panic attack in LAX. I was supposed to be meeting a investor to give him a stock certificate. There was a whole lot of pressures going on with the company, and I dropped. My parents were there to pick me up with my wife, and I remember they took me in an ambulance to the emergency room, and the EMTs were betting on what kind of drugs I was on. They were like, this guy's got to be on crack. He's got to be on speed. Look at these. And turned out to be, I had a full-on panic attack, which I had never seen before until that day. They released me at 3 or 4 in the morning. I went home. I had to go to Cedars-Sinai the next morning to get what we call a stress test for your heart. And I remember the day I left the hospital. I think it was somewhere around May or June of I want to say it was 2004-ish. And I said, I'm out of this business. I can't do it anymore. And there's no way I'm going to do this. And I was walking down Robertson coming from 3rd Street, and for those that know LA, coming back to Pico. And I passed by my buddy James' office, who's got a little mortgage shop on Gregory Way and Robertson. And I pop upstairs and said, hey, James. He's like, dude, what are you doing here? I said, honestly, I'm just taking a stroll looking for my next gig. And he's like, what do you mean? You're in the investment banking? I said, no, I'm out. I can't deal with it anymore.
Wow.
It wasn't clean. My boss wasn't the greatest dude as I thought he was. I can't have this responsibility to clients not losing money. And he said, well, why don't you come join us in the mortgage business? I said, dude, I don't even know about the mortgage business. He said, yeah, you do. You know finance. You know you were working with those companies and the mergers, acquisitions. Whatever, you'll learn it. You're a smart guy. And he said, here's a desk. There's a phone. I said, go to work. I said, I don't need any charity work. I'm good. He said, I'm not paying you. You're commission-based. Go make deals happen, and that will, and that's you. And that was the beginning of my mortgage career in 2004-ish. And I jumped on. I had to re-educate every single person. I'm no longer Josh, the dental guy. I'm now Josh, the mortgage guy. What do you mean? It's a big process to re-educate everybody. And in my first year, I did $40 million of financing. And I found a niche that really worked in the business, specifically for apartment buildings. And nobody was really pushing it. And I was using the USC Credit Union and a couple other credit unions to push this particular product that most people didn't know about. And I became the king of that space. And then once I'm already doing it, then I learned your residential. I want to be the one-stop shop. You can send me your home loans and send me your commercial loans, not just one or the other, because you got both. And that was the beginning of the mortgage career back in 2004.
This is blowing my mind. I mean, this just goes to show that you can be in any sort of situation, a good situation, a not so great situation, a lucrative, a not so lucrative, whatever punches come your way, and you learn to move and sway and pivot this way and that way, there's something around the corner. And I think what's amazing is over all of this time, you're picking up these skills. So people know you, and they know you for certain things, and they know that you have a way of working, and they know what you can get done, and they don't doubt your capabilities. This is what it sounds like to me. And when you're coming into these new businesses, that's what they're looking for, which is just, it's absolutely amazing to see and to hopefully learn in the same way.
I think people have to be passionate. If you're in it, you got to be in it. Like I'm looking at you as you're running this interview, right? I don't know how many you've done beforehand, but you're into this. You're really excited about it. You texted me like 15, 20 times, voice notes, trying to create a schedule. I know how busy I am, but when you're looking to help yourself and you're passionate about what you're doing, people will naturally come along for the ride. Oh, this guy is doing something. He's excited about it. Doesn't cost me anything. Let me try. Let me see what's up behind door number one of this guy, right? And I think that's important for the audience. And I think it's important to talk to ourselves. I tell to myself every day, you can't get complacent. You got to be in it to win it. To the positive and to the negative, I do things at 150%. That means if we're doing this podcast, I came home today with a microphone. I bought this. I cleared my schedule for a period of time. I made this my business, that while you're asking me questions, I'm here with you. And then when we're done and I need to be at the next task, I'm going to be at that 150%. Or if I'm in the office, I'm at 150%. And I think if people can really push themselves to say, hey, maybe the financial side is not coming through my account at the moment exactly, but I got to stay the course. I got to keep pushing. Money just doesn't show up. I would say staying in the mortgage business, In 2009, I opened my own company in May of 2009. For those that don't know when that was the ultimate real estate crash of our business. The banks ran out of money. There was all this TARP money. Everybody was trying to fund the banks. Open up a mortgage company in May of 2009, might as well just jump off a roof. Take your money and put it in a blender and watch it go down yourself. In that first year, I did 2 deals.
Wow.
200,000 and a 300,000 the whole year.
That's it.
So it doesn't always work out exactly at the moment, but if you can stay down and keep your head down and keep pushing and doing the right things, and I would say is you have to have your Shar B'Tachon. For those who haven't read that book, that is the #1 business book. Before you read anything else, The Art of the Deal, I can give you a bunch of business books. I read a lot of business books. There is nothing greater than Shar B'Tachon. And on top of it, if you can find a great podcast and listen to it, I'm on I think my third time around on the podcast with one class. So 4 times deep on just Shar B'Tachon. You need to have like a North Star of everything that's going on, but at the same time, you need your passion and you need to show up. Not showing up, forget it. You're out. And once you do that with your bitachon on top of it, you're giving your meiser, you give your tzedakah. I push a meiser spreadsheet in my community that has gone around many communities, that they're all interlocked together. They're not separate ideas. We're not in business and then we're in learning and then we're in tzedakah. No. 1 and 2 and 3 actually have a symbiotic relationship and they all work together. I think I'm going on a tangent here, but again, my passion is right there. But these are the concepts I would say with the skill sets and the establishment of staying focused, regardless of job to job to job.
So just while we're on this tangent, I have to bring up for myself, we go way back, me and Josh, and I'm thinking I have this one Farbrengen that I was at that sticks with me all of the time. It's called Schwartz's Farbrengen that we have once a year on Simchas Torah. And I'm sitting there. I think this was my first year out of shluchus, out of yeshiva. And Josh is going on and talking about the relevance and the importance of giving tzedakah. And the way he was talking about how you have to place your money, it was blowing my mind. I was 21 years old or even 20 years old, I did not understand the concepts of finance and how you have to use your money and support your family and this and that. And the way he talked about just being able to give and give and give was absolutely unbelievable. And I want to hear maybe a little bit more you would have to say on how tzedakah combines with Shar B'Tachon and business.
So I'm going to share with you something personal. I've shared with you the beginning of my journey, right? College, job 1, assisted living, job 2, assisted living, job 3, mobile dentistry, job 4, mergers and acquisitions and combination of this. And in between that, there's a lot of stuff. I was tutoring and I was hustling. You do what you need to do to survive. That's really what the human body does. I was living not even paycheck to paycheck. I was broke. So thank God my wife, she was working part-time at a preschool for a couple hours. Thank God she actually had some money when we got married. She helped buy our furniture. Otherwise we may have one of those boxes. But, it was very, very difficult. And it was very, and in those spaces, it puts a lot of pressure on your marriage. So I'd say to the newlywed people, it doesn't go away even I'm married. This week will be 25 years, God willing.
Congratulations. That's amazing.
Thank you. The financial pressure really plays an effect on our mental side, our personal side, our relationship side, because everybody wants to be there for their spouse, for themselves, for their family. And it's not always there. It's not always there at the time you really need it. But Hashem, I don't know if I say this right, Nishtabal Choiv, doesn't sit there and owe you. You do your part, he's going to take care of you, but there's a process in getting to have a nice vessel or a keli for Hashem to start to give you the blessings that you are entitled to, because Hashem takes care of us. I was living credit card debt, and literally I still have the spreadsheets showing the negative amounts per month. Like I would sit there and try to squeeze pennies. How am I going to make this month work? What groceries? How are we going to do this? And I remember once seeing this marriage therapist, and she had me meet this rabbi. And the first question, a couple things that he asked me, and by the way, till today, I think he was a malach, because I've never been able to find him since. He mentioned, how is your tzedakah giving? I said, tzedakah giving? Dude, I'm negative.
I should be on the receiving end.
I got $3,000 coming in this month. My bills are $4,500. I'm minus $1,500. That's negative $150. No, he says. You made $3,000 this month. $300 belongs to Hashem, not you. I said, but wait, I've got this like negative spreadsheet going on of all this money. I'm accounting for it. That one day I'm going to make money. I'm going to write this check. He says, no, we're going to start today something fresh. That today you made $200, $20 is going to go to tzedakah. And I'm sitting there saying, this guy's got to be out of his mind, because I was negative before you showed up. Now I got to give this guy a check for his time. I got to give the therapist. And now I'm even further negative, and he wants to give me to give Meiser to wherever. And I remember sitting there with my wife, and we said, we're going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to really do this. I went to, before Chase Bank, it was called Washington Mutual Bank, for those who remember that. And they had a promotion that if you opened up a savings account, I think you'd have no fee, like whatever it was. But you needed a minimum withdrawal of $25 a month. Anyways, I went to the bank. I set up an account, and this was going to become my new Meiser account. So that I made $200, $20 goes into this account. It's out of my purview. I have no access to it. I can give tzedakah from that account, and this is where I'm going to start. And this became my passion. Like I was in it. So money would come in. Before I would do anything, I started to move money into this account. And I really started to drive. And all of a sudden I realized somebody asked for tzedakah, I can give them. And my wife and I, we started this thing that we were giving $5 a month to, like we would get like something in the mail for whatever, Yad Vashem or whatever it may be, we would send $5. We were so into sending these checks out, $5, $5, $5. And then all of a sudden your address gets out, boom, you got the next, right? And that was really the passion that started in giving tzedakah. I mean, obviously I've shared with you my career, a little bit of what's taken place, and things started to turn. But I have a spreadsheet on my computer that I can show you that goes all the way back to 2010 or 11 that has every deal, every source of income, every interest payment that I've ever received, and the tzedakah that went out on the other side, and it tallies it. Right now, I have a big negative, which means I'm so far ahead, thank God, on my tzedakah, which is amazing. But that, and I share this with Goyim, I share this with Schwartzy's Hakafa. Schwartzy's Hakafa, just to give the respect, is in honor of Rabbi Schwartz, that the year before he passed away, we had a Farbrengen right after Simchas Torah Hakafas, after the meal, and we all just sat there. But we'd always Farbrengen about different things. And Yisrael Tabi, David Leader, myself, were passionate that we should make an official Farbrengen around tzedakah. Until today, I mean, I don't know when's the last one you were there, but till today, it's been at least 7-8 years. We have, I don't know, 50 to 100 people around this table. And every year, everybody says, I'm taking on the spreadsheet. I'm taking on the spreadsheet. And there's nothing sophisticated to it. It's an Excel spreadsheet that I could send to you that you could post that just says income, charity, 10%. And it just moves over and we push people to have their own charity credit cards. I have my own charity credit cards, my own charity accounts. So that way, the money is being separated from the moment the money comes in, and then it's there to give. And then the steroid side of this that I'm very passionate about, which is kind of insanity. I like to give tzedakah off of the gross income, not the net income. So that means
That's incredible.
insanity. I know. But that means if you made a deal for $1,000 and the direct costs of the deal were $200, that means you have to pay. I'm talking about specific. I'm not talking about rent, insurance, workers' comp plans, and all that. I'm just talking about direct costs. The FedEx, anybody else that you have to pay directly to that deal is $900 or $800. That's it. $80 goes right into the charity account. So when you're giving, this number is, I think, closer to could be 30, 35%. It could get up there because you don't have the write-offs for it. And I know it sounds insanity, and I'm not telling everybody to do it, but if you want something extreme from God, you've got to do something extreme from God. And until today, as of today, that method has only produced more and more blessings. And the people in our shul that participate at this Schwartz Kafa that are doing it, they are also sitting there sharing their stories. So tzedakah is huge. I leave it at tzedakah there.
I think that covers it. Yeah, the tzedakah, the passion there, exactly the way I remember it. And I guess we're going to have one last message for any guy or girl that is looking when they're starting out now. You have to look back by your start. What is the one thing that you want to leave them with that they can go ahead forward and enter their career lives?
So I had a guest speaker at USC. His name was Rob Ukapina. I hope I said it right. His company was called Overnight Express. It was another box that sat next to UPS and FedEx, and all they did was overnight in certain locations. I don't know the exact end of his story and how it went, but I remember one day when he was speaking to our class, he said something that to me sits. Your network is your net worth, and your net worth is your network. So I think the passion that I would like to leave to your audience and to myself and to people, my staff, is relationships. You have to build proper relationships. You need to nurture those relationships. And you shouldn't only be a person that takes, but looking to give. When you look to give, you unarm the entire situation, because who doesn't want help, right? The mission statement of JDM Funding Corporation has nothing to do with financing. It has to do with when you come into my office or we engage each other, you should leave better off than when you started. That means perhaps it's a referral. Perhaps I'm just hearing the terrible situation that you may be going through. Maybe you already have a deal and you're looking to shop, and I can come and say, stop shopping, dude. Your deal is good. You don't need to keep looking. You have a great deal and pleasure. I don't have to take everybody's business. There's plenty of business for everybody. But to treat people in a way, in a manner of professionalism, and if you come over and you say, hey, Simcha, how can I help you? What? Yeah, you reached out. What can I do for you? Is there anything you need, right? All of a sudden, the whole conversation is flipped. And if you could be passionate about that and then say, hey, let's say we can flip the script. Let's say you were come to me and you wanted to know about financing, and you say, hey, Josh, maybe we're not the right fit at the moment, but at least the relationship is open. Josh, do you mind if I just every month touch base with you with a quick email on where I'm at and what's going on? What am I going to say? No? Absolutely. Yeah, please keep me posted with whatever you're doing. And if you ever have something you need or I can open up a door for you, please let me know, right? Follow up, email back that says, hey, I want to thank you for your time. I know how busy you are, but you took 10 minutes, which is the only commodity that can never be replaced is time. Money goes, money comes, property, all these are assets. Doesn't make a difference, but somebody's time they can never get back. So if somebody is giving you their time and you can show appreciation for it, that starts a relationship, and that's the networking. And then you nurture it and you listen to key points in the conversation. Find out what the hobby is. Oh, this guy likes the Knicks. Great. Next conversation. Dude, the Spurs kicks your butt. How did that go for you? But all of a sudden, my conversation has now been disarmed. I'm having a fun conversation. I'm listening to what the guy says. I'm taking notes. I encourage people to have a CRM system or an Excel spreadsheet, name, phone number, email address, last contact, what you talked about, what's the guy's hobbies, what's the guy's passion. Call him back. Oh, how was your daughter's recital? Did it go well? That means you're listening. And if you're listening, then people want to work with you because you're not stuck on a text or an email. It brings the personal side to it. So when people say AI, everybody's AI-able, we're all screwed. BS. If you're providing a service and you're providing a side of you that it's your skill set will help somebody, I would rather deal with a person than with a robot. And if you show that service, that passion, I think that's what's going to come through. So my message is networking, development of the relationships, be kind to people. People all have tough days. If we're having a tough day, imagine how other people are having a tough day. Give the people the benefit of the doubt. But at the end of the day, just work that relationship and give back. And I think if you give back, everything will come to you. It's just, I don't know if it's a rule of the universe, but it should be, is that when you do something kind for somebody else, Shem and the people will always do something back for you, and stay calm. Everything will work its way out. My wife says, if it didn't work out, it's not the end of the day because it's still in Australia. It's already the next day. So just stay at it. It will work its way out at the right time.
That's amazing advice. I hope I can take that with me along on my journey as well. Josh, thank you so much for your time. What an absolute pleasure sitting down with you. And I really appreciate it. And I hope that everyone listening can just absorb everything you're saying like I am and take it further and help them take the next step.